It was exactly 10 years within a couple of months of James being diagnosed that Kate was diagnosed. Kate, she started bruising on her skin, she became lethargic, and I immediately just had this awful gut instinct that we were doing this again. My memory of what James had gone through was what I expected Kate to have to go through as well, and that length of time. That was before we discovered that things had changed in those 10 years. If I had known back then when James was sick, the impact that it was actually going to have on us as a family 10 years later, I would have been canvassing on the ward saying, everyone get in, do the clinical trial. You've no idea, we're going to be there again in 10 years' time. We are the typical example of why these clinical trials are so important. I have memories of some of the drugs that James had to endure, and side effects were really hard on his little body. And Kate didn't have to do those. So you're immediately ticking boxes going, oh, yippee, that's not there. And it's amazing in 10 years between the two children, the amount of change that happened because of the trials. I can't express enough. I can't. It's for us, it was critical. And it made the difference, a huge difference.
Clinical trials set out to identify whether an intervention, for example, a new drug, can change the outcomes for patients with a particular disease. And clinical trials do this by, in a systematic way, enrolling patients, randomizing them to receive, for example, a drug or a control, and then following them up carefully over an extended period of time to look at their clinical outcomes. Clinical trials are broadly of two types: those that are funded and sponsored by industry, and those that are investigator-initiated. And here at the UCD Clinical Research Centre, we're particularly interested in supporting investigator-initiated clinical trials.
The partnership is really important to us. It really allows us to expand, and it allows us to expand into more types of clinical trials. So the ones that we've been predominantly doing in the National Children's Cancer Centre have been phase 3 clinical trials, but we want to go now to phase 1 and phase 2 trials, as well as investigator trials. It's always difficult to predict the future, but what I would like to see is this partnership growing, and that every child who's diagnosed with cancer is offered a clinical trial. Patients who go on to clinical trials live longer. Their quality of life is better. So my vision for the next 10 years is when I retire, that all children, adolescents, young adults are on a clinical trial. I'll be able to sleep.